a tattoo. I'll always have you. My inhibitions fade away.
Morning, y'all. Welcome to our FaceTime call. So I am working on books, of course, but then I am also working on playing with different styles of books. God damn, this gate broke. I'm working on different styles of books, and one in particular is actually a coffee table book. I would love to produce one, create one, and so here's my call to action for those of you who one, like coffee table books, and or two, have read any of my books. What I'd like to include is some quotes, maybe some scenes that never made it into different books, maybe some notes. Is there anything that you all would be interested in? This is, I would want to treat this coffee table book as a catch-all, as a love letter to the reader, almost. I guess that's a good way of putting it, a love letter to the reader. So so those are the things at the top of my mind where I'm like, okay, this would be nice to put into the book. Maybe excerpts from other scenes, maybe ideas from projects that didn't go anywhere. I know for sure there is a series that hasn't been released yet, but it ultimately will be, and it's completely done. And in that series, this is so minor, there's two young ladies who are friends, and one is a flight attendant. Well, when I developed that story, it's actually the other girl who was a flight attendant, and she had a storyline that went completely left to where the other girls went. So it would be things like that I would include. So I just wonder what are some things that you would like to see or get details on, or something I don't know, because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But if there's I want to see a recipe from Belly because he's such a good cook, or something, then I would of course want to include some things like that. But yeah, I've been just playing with the idea of using different types of books, different types of styles of books to enrich the world, to make it more full. And in that, I keep going back to my comic book roots. There's this thing, this is the short version of my explanation. When you read comics, specifically Marvel, well, all comic book companies, but Marvel and DC for sure, have offices dedicated to their bigger properties. So you have the X-Men office, you have the Spider-Man office, you have the Superman, the Batman, you have the office that deals with all the stories under that particular family's umbrella, and how they determine how crossovers happen. One family might borrow a character from here, keeping the continuity, etc., etc. And so that's kind of how I feel with these books. This is a bit of a pivot from the coffee book conversation. And I mentioned in a previous video how some of the scenes and some of the storylines in one current book can be a backdoor pilot for another book. And I'm trying to separate and categorize the stories so that it makes it maybe a bit more clear. But like Cowboy Carter said, genres are a funny little thing, aren't they? And so of course you have genre conventions that you want to adhere to so people know the book you're writing. But I know sometimes things can cross over, and I don't always know every single genre and trope there is. I think there's tropes like he falls first, that's a trope. I'll go with it, or touch her and you'll die and shit like that. So when it comes to the genres, what I can say for for certain or for sure is that the Loverboy series, Ashley, Belly, and Cian, that those are romance stories. Those are following those romance conventions. You get that happily ever after, happy for now. And long time ago, I pivoted to calling myself the love story architect because I don't want, because every story that I write will not have a happily ever after. And so I don't want that to, I may write a romance or what is seen as a romance book, but it doesn't have that happily ever after. They both might die, or they might get to the end and be like, oh no, this shit ain't working, I'm out of here, anything. Because what I'm effectively doing is exploring the lives of these characters, and they will, through these books, and they'll fit into these different genre conventions. There may be a horror book. There might be a book one that's romance, lovey-dovey. Book two is horror, and book three is a survival book. And it's all the same series. And so I refer back to the earlier comment about comic book offices, because I'm trying to find a way to denote some of this, so it makes it maybe a little bit easier to follow for people who don't come from that comic book background, and they're specifically like, I want the romance, or I want the horror, I want whatever. But even within doing that, my writing, what I've been doing, I'm hoping I've been doing effectively enough, and if not, of course I'm always going to be working on it, is, let's just say, for example, Love and Ashley is the first book and it's romance. Let's say there's a second Ashley book and it is a survival book with him and Misho stuck at the top of a mountain. And then book three is horror. There's a serial killer who's trying to kill all of the men business owners. And Misho owns Osawa. That is a 3-book run of these people's lives. But I still would want to write them in a way where one informs the other, but one is 100% necessary to understand the others. So my romance office would be Love and Ashley, and then what did I say the second one? My survival nature office would be that second book would live there. And so it wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, you absolutely have to read Love and Ashley to understand, I don't know, Surviving Ashley. And then the third book, the horror, for people who only want horror books, I want you to get a well-oiled machine of a story, but not absolutely have to read Love and Ashley and Surviving Ashley to read Horror Ashley. And so that's something I've been working on. And again, taking my cues from comic books. This has been really, really, it's been making me think, because there's more that goes into these stories past thinking up the stories and creating the outline. Yeah, sure, we got a 3-act story structure. It's a romance story. We're doing the romance story beats. But then when you are building a world in the background, you have to also consider, okay, what time did this story take place? Is it over a couple months? Is it over a couple years? And that's another thing that I think, how do I put this? So I've read countless romance stories, and a lot of them do tend to run with a large amount of time. It might be a full year or a couple years or whatever. And I don't know, that's just that. But with the Loverboy series, that's a bit of a tighter timeline, because all of this is happening start of summer into winter. Because I wanted that tight, quick, I want you to spend a few months with these fraternity brothers and best friends and their ups and downs. But I still wanted to be able to leave space for doing different things in the future, because I'm still going to play with these characters. I'm not bringing these people up just to be done with them. Love and Ashley's done, we'll never see Ashley again, now on to the next. No. And so playing with time like that is specifically why we got Ordinary People in the way that we got it, as an extended epilogue that spends one day with the happy couple, because I don't want to say in Loving Ashley and then the epilogue is 4 years from now we got married, we got kids, no, because I want to write those things. I want to be able to say, I don't know, in 2028, okay, well, maybe Misho and Ashley gets married, and I want to be able to write that wedding. I want to be able to put some cameos in there. So I don't want to have an epilogue that goes too far ahead in the future, and then with my continuity brain, I have to focus on doing things that lead up to that point to keep it sound as far as continuity is concerned. I hope I'm saying this effectively enough. And so now that's not to say no books will have an epilogue, because A Love of Their Own, they had an epilogue, and it didn't go too far ahead in the future, but it had an epilogue. So I'm not opposed to them, but I know that the way I write, there's not always going to be, and I might even do one when we look far ahead in the future. Oh shit, here come a train. God damn it. Ain't this about up? Okay, so yeah, so that's where I am with writing. It's part of, I guess, my writing process, coffee table book, plans, etc., etc. So yeah, that's where I am. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, thank you all for following me on this journey. I am having such a great time writing. This is like one of the most fun things I've done, and I hope y'all are enjoying it. 𝙲𝙾𝚂𝚃𝙻𝴜 is my baby. We're back to Costly, and we are working on some things. Also, I guess, fuck it. If you have read Love and Ashley and you know, fallen for Belly, if there's something that you're interested in, like if there's questions that you might have about, if there's questions that you might have about, like, you know, something about his backstory, something about his attitude, so just anything about Belly that you might want addressed in this book, I don't think I've done this before, but let me know, because I'm like, shit, if y'all want to know what his favorite color is, and I don't know, has he ever owned a pet or something, I would like to add that in there. So yeah, if you have questions, comments, concerns about Belly, go ahead. You know what, I wonder if I should do like a I'm gonna write this. Never mind. Look, so if you've read whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. If you like Belly and you have questions, comments, concerns, even something that you're like, hey, I'd like to see this included, let me know. Of course, I'm the author. It's what's gonna go in is what's gonna go in. But you know, if people are like, yeah, shit, did this man ever have a cat? What's his mama name? You know, stuff like that. I want to add that in. So let me know. 𝙲𝙾𝚂𝚃𝙻𝴜, the love story architect. I write stories about black folks in various situations, and right now I'm in my contemporary love story bag, Loving Ashley. It's my debut novel from last year, June 10th. Oh my God. Ordinary People was the follow-up novella, the extended epilogue for Loving Ashley. We had You're Invited, the Gautreaux the Gautreaux triplets, and the drama that they got into over their winter break. First winter break back from college in Flint, Michigan. And then we move on to No Lover to Offend, books 1 and 2. No Lover to Offend and A Love of Their Own. They're out right now, 𝑟aincoleman.com. Check it out, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Man, I think I'm in love. This time I mean that shit. It's never been like this. And now I mean, man, I think I'm in love.